was the other one though?
Michael Ealy.
Oh, he's fine too.
Jesse Williams.
He's fine
Barack
too.
Obama.
He's fine too.
It sounds like you just like men.
Yeah, that's it. Especially powerful men.
You like a powerful man.
I do.
So a dominant to your submissive.
I'm not submissive.
Could you be a trad wife is what I'm asking.
Trad wife meaning like I'd be at home and no.
Like making Oreos from scratch.
I don't absolutely not.
Why not?
Because that's not who the I am. And my daddy didn't raise me like that.
To be a trad wife.
To be anybody's wife. My dad used to literally say that to me. I didn't raise you to be somebody's wife.
That's so brave.
I don't know if it's brave or smart. Most of the people that I know that's gotten married are divorced now.
And so really that's an indictment of the institution.
Yeah. I think marriage is legalized slavery.
You do?
Yes, I do.
Say more, because if I'm thinking about slavery and I'm thinking about marriage, there are two different images that come into my head.
Absolutely not. I don't think, I don't know how you don't. A man is, especially if he's expecting you to be a trad wife, he might as well pull out a whip and a chain.
Wow. So there are young people watching who might be wanting to get married. What would you say to them?
Don't.
So Leslie Jones just said something that has a lot of people talking. She compared marriage to slavery and then advised young women not to get married at all. Yeah, let that sink in. Now, this isn't just anyone speaking. Leslie Jones is a stand-up comedian, actress, and one of the standout personalities from Saturday Night Live. She's known for being bold, unfiltered, and very unapologetic. So when she sat down for an interview with D-Way and made that statement, the big question became, was she joking or was she serious? Because watching that interview, it's honestly hard to tell. And that's where the issue starts. When comedians talk, there's always that gray area. Are they exaggerating for laughs, or are they expressing what they truly believe? But when you're asked directly about something as serious as marriage, and you respond in a way that sounds firm and intentional, people are going to take you seriously. And not just anyone, young people who are trying to figure out life. Now, me personally, I don't think she was joking. There was no clear punchline, no setup, no delivery that suggested any humor. She sounded very direct, convicted, almost like this is something she genuinely believes. And if that's the case, then we are no longer talking about comedy. We are talking about influence. Then she takes it a step further. She says her father didn't raise her to be a traditional wife. He didn't even raise her for marriage at all. He kept telling her, I'm not raising you to be somebody's wife. Now pause right there, because that part is very interesting. When you bring your father into a conversation like this, it changes everything. It gives your statement weight. It makes it sound rooted in upbringing and not just an opinion. And whether intentional or not, it also shields you from some form of criticism. Because normally people might say, maybe you didn't have a strong father figure, or maybe your environment shaped your views negatively. But by saying my father raised me this way, she flips the narrative completely. Now it sounds like this was guided, intentional, or even empowering. Now, to be fair, we don't actually know the full truth of her upbringing beyond what she shared. We can't verify how literal that statement is. And it wouldn't be right to make assumptions about her family, but what we can examine is how that statement functions. And it's powerful. Because upbringing matters. What you're told as a child, especially by your parents, shape how you see relationships, commitment, and even your role in life. So if someone grows up being told that marriage isn't for them, it's not surprising if they reject it later on in life. But at the same time, upbringing is not destiny. People grow, people rethink, people choose their own paths. And this is where I push back. Even if that's how she was raised, does that automatically make her conclusion correct? Does it mean marriage itself is negative? Or does it simply reflect her personal experience and perspective? Because those are two very different things. Here's what concerns me most. This is where a lot of people get it wrong. They hear a strong opinion from a celebrity and treat it like truth. But just because someone is successful, confident, or outspoken doesn't mean their view should become your blueprint. Leslie Jones has had an incredible career. She's talented, she's worked hard, and she's earned her success. But her experience with relationships, marriage, and men is her experience solely. It's not universal truth. It's not a law of nature. It's one person's perspective shaped by one person's life. And there's nothing wrong with her having that perspective. She's entitled to it. But when that perspective is presented in a way that sounds like advice, especially to young women who are still forming their views, it becomes something different. It becomes influence. And influence carries responsibility. Whether Leslie Jones intended it or not, her words carry weight. When you're famous, when you have a platform, when people look up to you, what you say matters. And when you tell young women, don't get married, or compare marriage to slavery, some of them will take that seriously. Not because they've thought it through, not because they've examined their own values, but because someone they admire said it. That's the danger of outsourcing your thinking. When you let someone else's experience dictate your choices, you're not making decisions, you're following instructions. And those instructions might be based on circumstances that have nothing to do with your life. Maybe Leslie Jones had a bad experience with relationships. Maybe she saw unhealthy marriages growing up. Maybe her path genuinely didn't include marriage, and that's been fulfilling for her. All of that is valid. But none of that means marriage itself is inherently negative, or that it won't work for someone else, or that every woman should avoid it. It just means it didn't work for Leslie Jones. Now let's go back to her father's comment for a moment. My father didn't raise me to be somebody's wife. That statement does two things. First, it suggests her view on marriage was shaped early, before she even had the experience to form her own opinions. Secondly, it frames that shaping as positive, empowering even. But here's the question, is it empowering to be told what not to pursue before you've had the chance to explore it for yourself? Because there's a difference between being raised with independence and being raised with a specific rejection of something. One opens doors, the other closes them. If her father raised her to be self-sufficient, confident, and capable, great, that's empowering. But if he raised her with the message that marriage is something to avoid, that's not empowerment, that's direction. And direction, even when well intended, limits choice. Now again, we don't know the full story. We don't know the context. We don't know what conversations happened in that household. But we can observe the outcome. A perspective that frames marriage negatively and treats it as something women should be raised away from, rather than prepared for if they choose it. This is where the real issues lies, because young women who hear this aren't hearing just Leslie Jones's opinion. They're hearing it from someone successful, someone confident, and someone who made it without marriage. And the implicit message becomes, if you want to succeed like me, do what I did, avoid what I avoided. But that logic doesn't hold. Success isn't a formula. It's not a checklist. Leslie Jones didn't succeed because she avoided marriage. She succeeded because she's talented, hardworking, and persistent. Those things have nothing to do with marital status. And here's the other side of it. There are plenty of successful, fulfilled, empowered women who are married, who have families, who have built careers, and committed relationships. Their existence proves that marriage isn't their limiting factor. So when someone presents their personal path as the path, they are not empowering, they are narrowing. They are saying this worked for me, so it's the only way. And that's just not true. So whether Leslie Jones was joking or completely serious, the real takeaway is this. Don't outsource your thinking. Listen, observe, learn from people who've lived different lives and made different choices. But always filter what you hear through your own judgment. Because when it comes to something as important as marriage, relationships, and your future, that's a decision you have to live with, not them. If marriage isn't for you, great, own that. If it is, great, own that too. But make sure it's your decision, not an echo of someone else's experience, not a reaction to someone else's advice, but yours. At the end of the day, this isn't about Leslie Jones being right or wrong. She's entitled to her perspective. She's lived her life and she gets to interpret it however she wants. But the rest of us, we get to think for ourselves. So the next time you hear a celebrity or anyone with influence giving strong advice about life, relationships, or major decisions, ask yourself, is this their experience or universal truth? Is this what worked for them or what will work for me? Am I thinking critically or just agreeing because they are confident? Because confidence isn't the same as correctness, and influence isn't the same as wisdom. The people who succeed in life aren't the ones who follow someone else's blueprint. They are the ones who think for themselves. Subscribe to Viewspot for more commentary.